Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Aux Talks. It is Thursday, February 15th, 2024. Thank you for tuning in today to watch the video. As always, please, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I would ask that you please subscribe. Also, if you are subscribed, just keep checking to make sure that you're not getting unsubscribed. It is happening on a more routine basis now. Please hit the thumbs up button and also the bell notification so you receive word and notice when I drop new videos. I'm trying to do these almost daily if I can and if time permits. So several things to talk about today. The first is regarding the practice. I was in a hearing this morning, actually in Los Angeles County Superior Court. It was a Zoom hearing, and that court is so impacted. I have a case that's set for trial in May of this year. It is a partition real property dispute case involving a piece of commercial property downtown Los Angeles. And I've filed a couple of case dispositive motions, meaning motions, if they're granted, will bring the case to a close without the necessity of a trial. One's a motion for terminating sanctions and one is a motion for summary judgment. I reserved hearing dates on those motions about 10 days ago. Although my trial date is in May of this year, the first available dates that the court had on the docket in that department were in mid-August. So 3 months after my trial date. Obviously, that does me no good. I contacted the clerk in that department and said, there are no dates available for motions before the trial. And I was instructed, file the motions and then bring what's called an ex parte application, an emergency 24-hour notice application or motion, asking the judge to advance the hearing dates on those motions to an earlier date so they can be heard prior to trial. And so I did that today, was successful in getting the order, advancing those motions. But, our system, depending on what county you're in, certainly in California, and let me know, comments below, what is the system like where you're living and where you reside. Here it is so impacted. These judges are carrying thousands of cases on their dockets, and I called in this morning. The hearing, the number of lawyers on the phone for hearings there must have been 50 check-ins. So anyway, that's what's happening today in the practice, and let's talk about the banking system and the consumer retail sales numbers that are coming in today. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine just a few minutes ago, real close to my office here. He's the vice president of a mid-sized bank here in my local community. And he was telling me that he attended a symposium several months ago, I think August or September of last year. And one of the presenters at this symposium was Visa credit card. And Visa at that time, now we're talking about several months ago, presented an analysis that showed the correlation between the rising debt levels, consumer credit card debt levels, and a direct correlation with a recession. And at that time, and we know numbers have come out now in the last couple of months, they're saying credit card debt is at an all-time high. Consumers are tapped out, lines of credit are being maxed. So even back then, Visa was saying, look, we're seeing this huge uptick, and that is going to, from their perspective and their studies, usher in a recessionary period. Talking about U.S. consumers and their inability now just to keep spending. We got today the release of the U.S. retail sales figures, and it says it plunged in January, the worst year-over-year growth in retail sales since the pandemic lockdown. The article goes on to say, after they unexpectedly surged in November and December, headline retail sales in January were expected to decline just 0.2%. But B of A nailed it once again with a large 0.8% month-over-month drop. That dragged the year-over-year retail sales down to just 0.6%. This is the worst monthly decline since March of 2023 and the worst year-over-year rise, although it's a rise, the the worst rise since May of 2020. And in looking at the chart and the breakdown of things that had substantial declines in terms of sales, was furniture and home furniture stores was a 9.8% drop. So people are not able to, no longer going into these furniture stores and the IKEAs, the Moores and things like that, and buying couches and buying dining room table sets and buying patio furniture. They're simply not doing it. They don't have the money to sustain that. The next issue, building material and garden and supplies dealers, down 8.3%. Again, those are the Home Depots, the Lowe's, the do-it-yourself centers. People are no longer splurging on fixing up their homes. They're just doing what is necessary to get by, to make immediate repairs. Next one, electronics and appliances, down 5.8%. Again, people aren't buying big screens and stereo systems and and laptops and all those other types of electronics. They're simply not able to continue to afford that. Sporting goods, hobby, musical instruments, and bookstores fell 3.2%, and miscellaneous store retailers fell 2.7%. So that is very telling as to what is going on the backdrop of the amount of debt, consumer debt that's being carried right now, not only on credit cards, but on the buy now, pay later plans. It is literally staggering. And this now is translating into falling retail sales. You can attribute some of it, this article says, to seasonal adjusted numbers for weather and such. But one of the things that actually increased was online retailers and food services. They were the biggest upside drivers. So you can't attribute everything to weather because the online sales increased. It says core retail sales also declined minus 5% month over month versus a plus 0.2% expected, and that dragged the year over year levels down to their lowest since the lockdowns. Adjusted crudely for inflation, this was a huge drop, it says, in real retail sales. Real retail sales have declined for the last 11 of the last 15 months. It says, so as a conclusion, Americans are no longer buying any more you-know-what stuff. So we need to keep a watch on this, and it's not going in the right direction. You wouldn't know it from today. The stock market closed up. Gold and silver put on nice gains today. Even the cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin's been just rocking and rolling over the past few days. It's up around $52,000. So yes, the U.S. dollar was a little weaker today. The 10-year was a little weaker. But if you look at the surface, everything is great. People are out buying assets of all kinds. But when you drill down, like this report shows on the consumer numbers, the consumers just aren't out there spending. There was a report that came out today from the Business Insider that ties into this as well. And we get this narrative lately, we hear just shoved down our throats, oh, don't worry, it's going to be a soft landing, soft landing, soft landing. This says, the soft landing dream is over. Instead, the U.S. economy is headed for a recession in the middle of 2024. Quote, there is a very powerful and seductive narrative around a soft landing, and we're just not seeing it in the data. That's according to Citibank chief economist Andrew Hollenhorst, who told this to CNBC in a CNBC interview. On the surface, it says the data looks great. The economy is benefiting from historically low unemployment, strong consumer spending, and robust GDP growth. Well, we know there's not strong consumer spending, at least as of the numbers that we received today. We know that the unemployment rate, although it's holding steady, there continue to be hundreds of thousands and tens of thousands of layoffs, which are getting worse. It says, but there's more going on with the numbers than meets the eye. The question is, where are those forward-looking indicators showing up that we're going to, the question is, where are those forward-looking indicators showing up that we're going to go? One place the economy is showing a weakness is in the labor market. January had a blowout jobs report, adding 353,000 jobs to the economy. But if you scratch beneath the surface, the number of hours worked is falling. We know that. The number of full-time workers has also decreased. We understand that. And sectors like the restaurant industry have stalled on hiring. So this article concludes by saying that's the key to the economy. What happens in the labor markets? As long as it says that unemployment stays consistent or low, then people will continue to spend, and the economy holds up. But as soon as the unemployment rate starts rising, which this economist, chief economist from Citi says it will, then that's the sign that we're going to have a more material decline in the U.S. economy. I don't see how it's avoidable, guys. I just seeing the information coming out on a daily basis, it looks to be, a done deal. This thing is going to implode middle part of the year in later part of the year, and certainly probably even into next year now. Again, I'm not giving financial advice or economic advice. I don't have a crystal ball. I'm reading this stuff and just sharing it with you, reporting it to you as I see it and as I feel that it's important. So with that being said, I hope that this information was helpful. I know that every day some of the stuff is repetitive in nature. The articles are current, but there is overlap. And the overlap is the stuff we have to pay attention to. Those are the big ticket items. And if unemployment continues to keep ticking up, people are losing their jobs. The consumers are no longer spending like they were. We know the consumer debt is at all-time record levels. So it's going to come to a boil, sooner than later. With that being said, we have to do as individuals and in our small community and our family at that level, make ourselves more resilient. Okay, economically, how do you do that? We discuss it. You pay off debt. You stop incurring new debt. You have some cash set aside, some resources, some reserves. If something should happen, like an unforeseen health event or an emergency, where you need something for a vehicle or you get laid off, you don't have a job. What is going to be there for you to pay your bills and continue meeting all of your financial obligations during that downtime from whatever the source is? Please consider starting your own side hustle, your own business venture, whatever that is. Look at your skill set and pull something together, create an income stream that you can rely on independent of an employer. I'm going to be leaving here in about an hour or so to get a workout in, as I do 6 days a week. I get the steps in, did half an hour here at the office on the treadmill earlier. I recommend that all of you do the same. Get some cardio in, get your steps in, you're walking every day, super important. The diet is obviously, I harp on this every day as well, as important, if not more important than the working out. So we need to do both in tandem and make ourselves as healthy as we possibly can, in shape, as best shape as we possibly can, so we can better take on what is coming and unfolding day by day and month by month in this economy and across this country. So I'll leave it there for today. Hope all of you have a wonderful evening, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow. Bye.